We're back. You know it. My name is Scott Morgan, Motor City Van Bound. Back in the house after some time out in Europe. And I have my crew here. Bigfoot is in the house. Candy Epling, Eric Katz. We're working on Hollywood Tony. We're going to try to get Hollywood Tony, but we have a lot of good baseball information. We're going to talk about the past and some history and talk about what's going on right away. So with that said, let's get to business. And we're going to start off with a guy by the name of Ricky Henderson, people, because I'll tell you one thing. We're going to start off on for baseball history is Ricky Henderson goes out there on August 27th of 1982, breaks Lou Brock's single season stolen base record when he recorded his 119th bag. You know what, Barry? If anybody can talk about Ricky Henderson, it ought to be you because you probably had to deal with him a great deal.
I did not a great deal. I was only in that league for 2 years as a player. But the first time he tried to steal him, I threw him out. So I had that going for me. But now he's the greatest leadoff hitter in history just because of all the things he could do. He could hit with power, steal a base at will. So hats off to him. Unfortunately, he had a short span after his career before he passed away. It was sad to lose him, but he was really a very, very special player.
All right, Tony made it back. Proud of him. I know persistence pays off. All right, Tony, give me your thoughts about Ricky Henderson. He was certainly, truly one of the greatest out there that ever played the game. All right, I'm getting you, Tony. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony.
Can you hear me? Nothing?
Yeah.
No, we got you. We got you.
Y'all got me? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Sorry. It's a technical difficulty. But Ricky Henderson, look, man, anybody who can speak in third person is a cool guy for me. All right. And it's crazy that more of Ricky Henderson's stats aren't being challenged or numbers being challenged with the bigger bases and the amount of leeway the runners have. You only can throw over twice in all these situations. I would think that we'll see more steals, but that just shows you the greatness of Ricky Henderson because you knew what he was going to do and you couldn't stop him. And that shows you the mark of a great player right there. Hey, man, great. Yankees legend. Anybody who did good things for the Yankees, they're going to always get love in my book.
Hey, Candy.
Really, Hollywood Tony? Come on now. So he's the only player in AL history to steal 100 bases in a season. He did so 3 times in 80, 82, and 83. His 1,406 career steals is nearly 50% higher than the previous record of 938 by Lou Brock. He is the all-time stolen base leader for the Athletics and previously held the New York Yankees franchise record from 88 to 2011. He was among the league's top 10 base stealers in 21 different seasons. Holy tamales. 21 different seasons, and he led. I mean, when you look at as a player, like how many teams he played for, he was a 10-time All-Star, 12-time American League stolen base leader. He had speed. You didn't want to be playing against his speed, but a great player.
Eric?
I mean, he is the greatest leadoff hitter of all time, and he was just incredible to watch, and just all around. He was the guy you wanted because he could pop a home run. You didn't want him on base because you knew he was going to go, and this is at the time when you could throw over as many times as you wanted. But it's incredible what I think a lot of his records now are. I don't think they're going to be touched. Like 100 plus stolen bases, I don't see happening. Even though you have more leeway there, runners nowadays are a little more gun shy than what they used to be. The only guy you could probably say now who's probably just who you could probably put as like just running with abandon is Jose Caballero in my eyes anyway. But he just did. There's a reason he's a Hall of Famer, and he just did incredible stuff on the field, especially as a leadoff hitter.
Well, the one thing I was waiting for people to talk about, and they did. By the way, Roblox boys, glad to have you in the chat room. Appreciate you very much. Okay, is Billy Martin and Ricky Henderson were ideally suited for each other. They really will because Billy Martin loved to play the small ball more than anybody that I've ever seen, and Ricky Henderson is what he is. I mean, he was one of the better stolen base, and I'm surprised to see a lot of power the guy can hit for as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Henderson was just complete a ball player as you can get, and he played for I can't tell you how many teams he played for, but whoever saw him, more power to him. And if there's a baseball lifer better than Ricky Henderson, please go out there and find him because Ricky Henderson was as good as they would ever
He
get.
played, Scott, just so you know, he played for 10 different teams. And when he broke the record, besides his mom, his friends, and his loved ones, he wanted to give my appreciation to Tom Treblehorn and the late Billy Martin. Billy Martin was a great manager. He was a great friend to me. I love you, Billy. I wish you were here. And you want to know who his idol was?
Who?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh my God! I'm already.
I'm pretty sure Ricky played for Billy Martin twice because Billy was in Oakland in between getting fired for the being fired multiple times by the Yankees, and I'm pretty sure Ricky was there at the time when Billy came over because Billy's originally from East Bay.
Well, I think you're right, Eric. I think he played from the A's. He played from the Yankees, wherever Billy Martin.
But he was
went.
definitely with the A's in '81 because I was with the Yankees and we swept them in the playoffs. So he was there with Billy at the time because it was a big deal for the Yankees to sweep Billy Martin.
Yeah, see, people like you aren't not supposed to forget stuff like that, anyways. It's good,
right?
Call that a flex, Bigfoot.
Did Billy have any run-ins with anybody that series? Is the real question.
Not really. Well, I mean, we beat them bad. I mean, it wasn't even we just had their number and we beat them. We kept those guys off the bases, and they didn't have the big bashers like they did later on. So.
Oh yeah, the Bash Brothers, Canseco.
Yeah, it was kind of humbling for Billy actually.
Yeah, I actually met Billy Martin during spring training in the early '80s. Really nice to me, really was. I mean, being a young reporter, he didn't care how old you were, as long as you were polite, respectful for him. He'd give you the time of day.
Right.
He was that type of person. I was like Mark myself. All right, let's talk about the Atlanta Braves all-time lineup. Scott, we're going to talk about Bobby Cox next week. Go ahead, Eric.
Scott, one question: Did you go to the bar with him?
No, I never did. I got to the clubhouse. I got clubhouse back to send. I don't get it these days, or some stupid cockamamie reader. Don't get to me that way. I mean, you can talk about bar, but just not that, please. Okay. Now, Billy was nice to me. When you're a young reporter, but like I was at the time, Eric, and you can appreciate good access and good people, you really do appreciate the nature of it. It's a different animal. But no, to answer your question, I didn't. So let's talk about the Atlanta Braves all-time record. I'm going to wait till Warren comes back to talk about all the unfortunate passings that have occurred within the last week. I wanted to put a show together that was representative of what we wanted to do tonight. But this week's focus will be on the Atlanta Braves all-time lineup. Your outfield is going to consist of Henry Aaron, Dale Murphy, Andrew Jones. Your infield is going to be Chipper Jones at third base, shortstop Johnny Logan, second baseman Ozzie Albies, first baseman Freddie Freeman, starting pitcher Greg Maddux, right relief pitcher Craig Kimbrell, catcher Brian McCann, the designated hitter Eddie Matthews, and Bobby Cox. All right, we'll go around the horn. Barry, what are your thoughts about that group of Braves?
A lot of Hall of Famers. When you have a lot of Hall of Famers, you're going to have a pretty good all-time team. I wouldn't have any complaints about any of those guys. So I played against a bunch of them. So I'm glad to hear their names, but there's no argument. They had a lot of really good players over the years.
As I understand, I think Andrew Jones just got in the Hall of Fame, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think that was a real slight. When you're one of the top, without question, top 3 defensive center fielders, and you hit 400 home runs, I felt that was a big slight for him. I was glad to see him get in.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of Hall of Fame inductions, by the way, probably as we get closer to the ceremonies. They didn't do it when they were selected, but obviously we're caught up with so many different things, but we'll be doing that as we get closer to the summer. All right, Tony, Hollywood, what are your thoughts about that list of Braves?
It's just greatness on top of greatness. You think about like Chipper Jones that solidified. Ozzie Albies, right, being a current player, but he's done so many good things. I think he has the second base all-time leader for home runs in the season for the Braves. So have some young blood. I'm always interested on the future, right? Like, can Acuna put enough good years together to like put himself in the conversation for outfield and stuff like that? But for right now, there's no arguments with the Braves. They're pretty solid with all their all-time players.
Okay, so Candy.
Yeah, when you think of the Braves, you think of all those names that you put out there. But there are even some Hall of Famers that you didn't even list that like we could go back into more and stuff like that. But when you're thinking about pitchers, I mean Maddox, Spahn, Smoltz, Craig Kimbrell too. Like there's just they've had quite a few Hall of Famers on their team.
Well, you're right. I mean, Warren Spahn, he only have 9 or 10. You only have so many pitcher spots. So, yeah, Warren Spahn's an easy omission. So is John Smoltz. But that'll be in for another topic at a later date.
Who did you say for catcher?
Brian McCann. Why? Who are you going to come up with?
It could be Javi Lopez.
Yeah,
Javi Lopez. Yeah,
easily. They don't go.
It'll be
They went,
Javi.
big reason they went to the postseason 13 or 14 straight years. I don't think that could be done anymore.
And who was first? And first baseman was who again, Scott?
Freddie Freeman.
Okay, no argument.
Yeah, that may be a tough one to argue against right there.
No argument there.
I mean, where's Ronald Acuna? I would already put Ronald Acuna on there. Yes, he's been banged up and injured, but Ronald Acuna, man, was a Ronald Acuna. He's the guy invented his own club. What was it like? He had a 40-70 year or something like that.
40-70, yeah.
Yeah, which yes, he's been hurt, and yes, which he's had a rough go of it, but that guy had himself one heck of a run when he was there. And also don't forget John Smoltz. He had one of the most unique pitching careers in baseball. He was obviously a great starting pitcher, but he was also a great closer as well. I mean, you go from the rotation to the bullpen 50 saves later. I mean, that's impressive to be able to be good at both things, which typically you're good at one or the other. But I would put John Smoltz in there just because he had such a unique career. And gosh, put Acuna in there. I mean, he was he invented his own club. Shouldn't that automatically warrant being on an all-time list?
Yeah, but you only have so many players there. I mean, these OPs. I mean, this is what we're talking about. What a pitcher, catcher, and 7 other position players. Anybody consider, and of course, John Smoltz, like you said, Eric, right? You are right. I mean, you can put him on as a relief pitcher or a starting pitcher to put him on the list. And after Craig Kimbrell, that's where you can draw the line there. But I agree. That's why these topics are interesting when you talk about all-time greats, because you can sit here and talk about the people that should have been and not. I like the list, but yeah, I can see where a Javi Lopez would be and John Smoltz being an interchangeable part, as we call it, because you go either way, starting pitching or relief pitching, and he's still a high impact.
Joe Torre behind the plate too.
Yeah, but I think didn't Joe Torre do most of his behind the plate damage for the Cardinals? So I believe, but we'll go from there. He did manage that club though many years ago in the '80s. And again, I'll have a lot of RIPs next week because you're going to have Ted Turner in there and a lot, but not for this particular show. I just want to get caught up on another point. We'll go back in baseball history again because I remember when actually I was living in Arizona at the time. Baseball history: Luis Gonzalez hits his 50th home run of the season on August 29th, 2001. You talk about a guy, Luis Gonzalez, Barry, who made quite a career out of himself with one franchise. That this guy is definitely the epitome of that.
Oh yeah, I mean he I think it would have been interesting to do a little testing with him at one point. He went from a little punch and Judy guy to a 50 home run guy, so he must have found some good vitamins. That's all I can say. But he had no doubt he had a great run with Arizona, no question about that. And from what I understand, he's legendary out there. So Good for him. And then you know he beats the Yankees with a ball off his fingernails. So and I still question infield in on that, but I get it. And so anyway, all good. But he had a great career.
It's funny how you say. I lived in Arizona when they won the whole thing. He covered 3 games with the Detroit Tigers there, and that was quite a special team. But you're right about the vitamins. I know you're trying to be nice about it, but I know exactly where you're coming from. Punch and Judy hitter to a guy who hit 50 home runs.
Yeah.
It's not hard to see where the trail actually really does lead. Good evening, Michael Edwards. Glad to have you in there. Yeah, it went real well. I'm looking forward to getting Michael Edwards on one of these shows too. Now that we're back and I can think through this, I'd love to have Michael on a show one of these times. So, Michael, now that I'm back a little bit, give me a week or so. We'll see if we can get you on with this group. Okay. Thanks for showing up tonight. So I love your vitamin trail, Barry. I know where it's going, and it's pretty hard to not debate it. But then again, you've been my battery mate since the early 80s, so I kind of know exactly where you're going. All right, Tony. Great stuff, Barry.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, holy moly. Previous career high home runs, 31. And then you go for 57.
Yeah.
Random outlier year. I would like to see if that's a contract year, but that's another conversation. Look, Luis Gonzalez he single-handedly ruined my childhood by hitting that walk-off on Mariano Rivera. Okay. And John Buck called it infield in. All he has to do is hit a blooper, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna just cry the rest of this segment. I'm gonna let Candy take over because now it's bringing back memories. PTSD.
That would go like this guy Hollywood Tony. I'll tell you what, Hollywood Tony. You want to get emotional? I'll tell you when to do. By the way, go to Berlin, Germany. That won't be a you getting emotional. That'll be one thing that you really do get emotional if you get my.
Oh man,
Berlin was. Well,
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I even Candy hasn't seen me like this before when I was out in Berlin with her, and wow, that's all I can say. All right, Candy, go ahead. Hollywood isn't being Hollywood now; he's being realistically Hollywood.
In 2001, he astonished many. He hit 57 home runs, his personal best in one season, almost twice as many as he hit in any other season. This included a record 9 home runs in his first 10 games. He shared that with Mike Schmidt in 1976. The total is the 3rd most in National League history for a left-handed batter, behind Barry Bonds' record 73, which also came in 2001. Ryan Howard, who hit 58 in 2006. Gonzalez was selected to his second All-Star team, won the Home Run Derby at the Midseason Classic. He ranked 2nd in the National League in hits with 198 while batting .325 and posting career highs in runs 128 ribbies, in runs 128, ribbies 142, and he walked 100 times as well. He finished 3rd in the 2001 National League Most Valuable Player voting. So that year he had a bang out year. But he had a pretty good career. You can't, 2,591 hits, nothing to sneeze about. Played for 6 different teams. He was drafted by the Astros and last played with the Florida Marlins at the time.
Yeah, Florida Marlins. Well, that seems like an easy. Okay, Eric.
I mean, we're not going to talk about 2000. We're not going to talk about 2001. So, like, we're just going to scrub that from this conversation. Thank you. That's Mr. Diamondback right there. I mean, he's still very much liked and loved in Arizona, and he is still he's still continuing to do stuff for the club here and there, as well as the greater. I believe he's still in Arizona, and he was terrific. He was a good player, not a Hall of Famer, but good player, and he's a guy that Diamondback fans, at least from my generation, when they think of the Diamondbacks, they think of him aside from Randy Johnson.
He was the first number that the Diamondbacks retired.
It was
his number 20.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. There, having lived there, I wasn't there when it happened. I wasn't there when they actually retired it. But if you're going to pick a number that to retire for the Diamondbacks, it should be the guy that had the game-winning hit against the Yankees
Yeah.
that allowed him to go ahead and win the World Series. Great points all the way around. Let's continue on. Okay. Everybody talk about Max Fried and how much he's available. We'll go to Max Fried a little bit. Because during an important stretch in September, Max Fried had 13 strikeouts to tie a career high, and he had everything working for him. So, all right, with that said, what are your thoughts, Barry, about Max Fried?
I like him. I like him in a long-term contract much better than these power guys. And I love power pitching. I love to watch power pitching. But I think Max Fried is a pitcher. And, I think I read somewhere he's had 40 starts with the Yankees, and he's been above what there was expectations. And that's hard to do. But I like him because he's a complete pitcher. I think he'll be a good, solid guy for him for, if you're going to give a guy an 8-year contract, he's the kind of guy I think you can kind of go out there and do that for.
Tony?
I love Max Fried, the signing. Best pickoff move in baseball. He's going to contend for a gold glove. He fills his position well. Let's just, I'm just happy we don't got to go to Milwaukee anymore. All right. Because clearly him pitching in Milwaukee is not the thing that he likes to do. So good thing that was interleague play and we don't have to do that anymore this season. And yeah, Max Fried has been great though. I agree. He works long term. He embraces the pinstripes, and we all watch enough baseball to understand that playing for the Yankees isn't easy. And he enjoys playing for the Yankees. He embraces the pinstripes, and he's a good player for us. So yeah, man, he became our number one last year when Garrett Cole got out, and that's all you can ask for when you pay somebody that kind of money.
Candy?
He throws a 94 to a 96 mile an hour 4-seam fastball. He throws 2 types of 74 mile per hour plus curveballs, which he patterned that after Sandy Koufax. He throws an 85 mile per hour slider, a 93 mile per hour sinker, and an 86 mile per hour changeup, with the curveball resulting in the lowest batting average in 2021. The batting average was .160 against him on that pitch. So he's got a lot of different pitches. He's been in the league. He debuted August 8th, 2017. He has already thrown over 1,100 strikeouts so far in his career. So he's a really good pitcher. Really good signing for the Yankees.
Let's go to chat room, Candy. Michael Edwards on a roll, and we'll make sure he gets on here, give him his due, and then everybody can respond. Go ahead, Katie. Why don't you read them off, and if Barry and the rest of the group want to talk about, go ahead.
With Fried, the kids, Schittler, Warren, and Weathers, and the vets coming back, Cole and Rondon, the current Yankees rotation should be illegal.
I love that. Edwards is good. Should be illegal. All right, Barry, what are your thoughts about that? Illegal?
Well, that's pitching is a tough commodity to really understand and to see. The key to them being illegal is Rodon and Garrett coming back. If they don't come back, to their capabilities, it'll be a good rotation. But that makes them special if they get those 2 guys back and they're throwing like they have been capable of throwing in the past, for sure.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Fried, he got baptized by fire last year because the Yankees weren't planning on having him being the ace of the rotation. They were probably planning on him to be like a number 2 or number 3 last year, but they threw him to the wolves because Garrett Cole got hurt, and he performed. He had a fantastic year. Talk about a guy who just kind of settled into the New York scene, which he knows what he knows what it's about. He knows what he knew what he was getting into when he signed with New York with the money that he's making, as well as pitching for arguably the most popular franchise in the sport. He's been terrific. He's been a Cy Young candidate. He's adjusted to every situation, and he's currently living up to that deal. You can't be mad about what he's done. Every now and then he'll have a start like he had against Milwaukee, which it happens. But for the most part, prior to that though, He's done, he's done well. I mean, I would pay him that $218 million contract all over again.
By the way, since today is May 11th, I do want to take the time out and dedicate this show to my grandfather, Sidney Morganroth, who died on May 11th, 1973. Why am I doing that? We're going to talk about some accomplishments on May 11th, but I want to take the time now because my grandfather, Sidney Morganroth, I only had him like 10 years, but he died of lung cancer. And it's because of my grandfather, Sidney Morganroth, I've never picked up a cigarette and I've never gone out there and had it as a habit. I know a lot of people that have died because of cancer, but Sidney Morganroth, I only knew you 10 years, a little 10 years plus, but I love you, miss you. And because of you, I've never picked up a cigarette and done it habit habitually and refused to die of lung cancer. And I thought this was a pertinent moment that I can go ahead and mention it. Thanks for letting me say this, everybody.
Okay. Amen.
Everybody spoke about this one? So,
yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk about who will win the NAL East. The Atlanta Braves looking awfully good. Marlins, well, we'll see what happens with them down the road. They're up and down. We'll see whether they'll be. Well, we'll just see how they go with some of the younger players as well. Nate Eddie Fraser, glad to have you in here as well. The Mets, they're in trouble. The Nationals, mediocre. And the Phillies, we'll talk a lot more about the Don Mattingly hiring next week. When Warren gets on, I just want to touch on these other topics. So as it speaks right now, Barry, who would be your favorite to win the NL East?
I'm going to go way out on a limb. The Braves.
Oh, yeah.
I think they unless they get injuries, they're the best ball club. And, obviously the Phillies could make a comeback, but I think that I'm going to go with the Bravos at this point.
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm going my World Series pick, and that's the Braves. They're making me look good right now. I'm kind of scared because if they get the number 1 seed, they normally don't do well with that week off. But that's a long way from now. The Phillies have been playing better since Don has taken over. I do have to acknowledge that they have been playing a lot better. It looks like maybe he should have took over before the season. Don't want to see anybody get fired, but this looks like it's been best. But yeah, the Braves, they're already 8.5 up the last time I checked, maybe 9 games up. There's a lot of season left, but that's hard to make up. So I'm gonna just stick with the Braves.
What about you, Candy?
Yeah, I have to say the Braves too. I mean, yes, I agree with you, Tony. Like the Phillies have played a lot better now that Don is in there, whether that's motivation because Don's in there or they had a change, I'm not sure. But the Phillies have the lineup to be able to challenge them. But like you said, 9 games back, I know it's really early. But that's still a lot to. But I'm gonna agree with Eddie. As long as they stay healthy, because that's the key to any club. You have to stay healthy in order to make a run. So, but yeah, that division doesn't look like it's as close as some of the others.
And now next week's 186 baseball talk. I'm going to go back to Don Mattingly and my conversation with him. There might be some pretty good stuff that we can pull out of there. I told Candy all along when we were in Europe, I had a feeling he was going to manage at some point again. I didn't know. Didn't I tell you that, Candy? Mm-hmm. I said I didn't know, but there was something inside me that believed that lo and behold, he's the interim guy. But we'll have some more Don Mattingly sound bites next week. Okay, now what about you, Eric?
I gotta go with the Braves. Because man, they've always had the players. Like the last couple years or so, it's been more of guys just keep getting hurt. That's just been their biggest issue the last 2 years. It wasn't because of the lack of talent or lack of anything. It was just guys kept getting hurt. And so obviously they don't have Ronald Acuna Jr. right now, but they still got Matt Olson, who's who's very incredible. And I just think that, with a rejuvenated Chris Sale and, they're a good team. I mean, it certainly helps that the NL East is pretty weak this year. And so, I think it'll ultimately be them. The Phillies, I don't see them doing it because their pitching is very suspect. I could see them kind of like, if things keep going, I could see them maybe squeezing a wild card. But I don't see them catching them. I mean, if they stay with, I mean, but hey, if by the All-Star break, if they stay within 7 games out, that still keeps them in the hunt. So but right now I got to go with the Braves. The Phillies pitching kind of worries me right now.
Well, here's the thing. Walt Weiss was a heck of a manager. And when I spoke to him during spring training, there was some feeling. And Candy, keep this in mind. We may go back to some of that stuff that we were able to get with Walt Weiss and Don Mattingly. We'll have some of their clips next week. We'll be more prepared and planned with a little bit of rest over the weekend. But we'll have Walt Weiss and Don Mattingly soundbite now next week's 108, which is baseball talk with more in the house. Walt Weiss is the key, and he's brought some stability there. Brian Snitker did pretty well. I give him a heck of a lot of credit for what he accomplished, but they needed a new voice, and Walt Weiss has been exactly that. Don Mattingly, let me tell you, if he gets into the wild card, he'll be a god in Philadelphia. He really will, considering how badly things started out with them. All right, let's go back in baseball history again. Because Bill Buckner played in 2,517 games during his career. He never struck out twice in a single game, Barry. That is absolutely unheard of. Let me read these again. Plays in 2,517 games during his career, never struck out twice in a single game. That's unheard of.
Well, he was a teammate of mine with the Cubs. And, if you could see the ritual he had to go through to get on the field every day with his bad ankle that he injured with the Dodgers, he was, if he hadn't had that boot in that playoff game, he would have been thought of as a borderline Hall of Famer. He was a great hitter and put up great numbers. And so it's too bad that he's remembered for that error rather than the fact of what a great player he was.
So true. Great minds think alike. Yeah, one defensive play haunts a guy, and he's unquestionably one of the best offensive players in baseball history, in my opinion. I'll leave my opinion there so we can move on to Tony and hit the other topics. Go ahead, Tony.
So you hear the term professional hitter a lot. Well, at least I do. You hear in broadcasts, you talking to people about baseball. It sounds like Bill Buckner's pitcher needs to be next to that. Like you look up that definition, no more than 2 strikeouts is insane. Especially like coming from where I'm watching baseball now, where people get 3 or 4 strikeouts a game and you kind of don't even think about it. And it just shows you somebody who took pride in his at-bats, who took professional at-bats that went down. I wouldn't obviously swinging, but he knew how to at least put the ball in play and see what can happen, man. And that's just amazing. I wish we seen more of that now. The game would be a lot more exciting, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no question about it. Again, Bill Buckner don't grow on trees. They really don't. You talk about a guy who's a pure hitter and the guy what he's able to do with his bat. But to not never strike out twice in a game, to me, that's unbelievable. You talk about all the idiosyncrasies and things, Barry, in baseball, but not to strike out twice in a game. I mean,
it was a good hitter. Very, very, very simple approach to hitting, and he was just a very good hitter.
Yeah, there was Candy.
He became the 21st player in Major League history to play in 4 decades. He ended his career with 2,715 hits, 498 doubles, having batted over 307 times with 3 seasons of 100 runs batted in. He led his league in assists 4 times. He retired with the fourth most assists by a first baseman, 1,351 in Major League history, despite not playing the position regularly until he was 27 years old. Because, yes, he started as an outfielder, but because of his ankle injury, they moved him to first base. But pretty great of a hitter. And to have such longevity, I mean, you don't hear of guys that stay in the league that long anymore, or it's rare. So kudos to him.
Well, it's funny. We have 1 or 2 topics, and Warren Brewster does come back on. I'm going to broach this topic with him about Bill Buckner when he comes on next week. So that's one of the things we're going to do. But at least all of us get to talk about it in real time now. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I mean, Bill Buckner, I think he gets too much flack for the error against the Mets. Because let's be honest, if he would have made the play at first base, the game simply would have continued to extra innings. that's what would have happened. Remember, Bob Stanley threw the wild pitch that had Kevin Mitchell scamper all the way home, and the game was tied. So if he would have made the play, Boston just has their turn to hit, and they also would have had to shut down the Mets offense at the time too. So it wasn't a done deal for Boston. I mean, Red Sox fans think they would have won the World Series, but no, they would have. Remember, they had the lead in Game 7-2, and they squandered a 3-0 lead. So I think Bill Buckner gets a little too much crap for it. Had Boston won in Game 7, that play would have just been an afterthought, But he was a really good player for his time. I believe he was I think he was in the outfield when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record when he was playing for the Dodgers at the time. And he's still, but yeah, I just don't think that I think his place in the game is unfortunately affected by that one event. I mean, if you look at his stats, I'm not sure, I think he needed to do a little more to get himself in the Hall of Fame, but he's still a Hall of very good player at the least to me. But given how we're electing guys now, I think he should be in. But it's unfortunate though that one play ultimately defies him, which I think is just wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I nod my head this way because I know you're right. You need to go that way. That it is unfortunate one play. And Michael Edwards goes on to say, yes, scapegoats don't always get treated by revisionist history grumbling fans. No question about that. Right? He hits a bullseye with that one for sure.
The game when the error happened, let's just say he makes the play. It's like we're going to extra innings. The game would have continued. Red Sox get their turns, say they score a run or two. You still got to hold the Mets where they are. So yeah, so who knows what might have happened.
Well, plus McNamara had taken him out every game that year when they were ahead late in the innings. He had taken him out for defense, and he didn't do it that night. So let's go slap McNamara around a little bit too.
Yep.
John McNamara, that's a good
There you
point.
go.
For Tim Stapleton as well, one of the better defensive replacements at that point in time.
That's right.
Okay, let's continue on here. And we talk about how things have gone for the St. Louis Cardinals, which was unheard of. The lowest attendance in history the Cardinals drew last year was at 17,675, was the lowest in the history of the Busch Stadium 3. And the first time that they have ever sold under 2,900, it looks like. So they've sold out in 29 years. So, all right, Candy, Perry, your thoughts? Things have changed around for the Cardinals, but when it's unimaginable to see St. Louis draw 17,675 a game when they're unquestionably one of the best baseball towns in baseball.
Well, yeah, they're still. I mean, I think they drew 2.7 million last year. I mean, that's still not bad. That's below the 3 million mark that they've become accustomed to. But it's a lot about product. Tell me 3 players in their starting lineup. Yeah, they got one guy who can really play, and that's Walker, who's really come on. He looks like he's going to be the player they thought he was going to be. But other than that, I mean, you think about it. I couldn't I looked at the questions for tonight's thing. I looked it up, and I'm going down the lineup. I don't even know any of those guys. So I mean, Walker is a good player. It's about product on the field, and another thing could be affecting some gas prices right now because a lot of people have to drive to get those ball games. And it's a little bit different there for the Cardinals, but they'll come back. They'll get a little better on the field, and they'll draw. It's a great fan base they got, maybe one of the best in the country.
That's a great point too, Barry, because of the fact that gas prices are affecting a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to take those extra drives, and we tend to overlook that a little bit more so now than we ever have. We're talking in most parts of the country over $4.50 a gallon. When Candy and I went away last week, we were probably ignorant to the fact that here we are on a boat, really not knowing what's going on. All we're doing is running around, taking public transportation, right, Candy, all over the country, all over the world, and we're just so in a different zone. But you make a great point, Barry, about gas prices. But so when I saw that number for the Cardinals, 17,675. You really didn't recognize a lot of players. In the past, you were able to recognize a lot of players. So it'll be an interesting team to watch for sure. But I'm glad you brought those points up, Barry. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, Barry, it's hard out here. All right, things are very expensive, but look, people want to support winners. People want to support good teams. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2022. Their last three playoff stints were ended early in the wild card, so it hasn't been a lot of hope, right? So 2020 they lost in the wild card. 2021 they lost in the wild card games, only one game. And then 2022, they lost in the wild card series too. So it's not like they've been giving you deep playoff runs. Like you said, Barry, it's hard to outside of Walker. I can't name nobody. You know, I don't. It's no excitement for the team, and that's ultimately what people want to see. Of course, people like baseball, but people like to see the stars. People like to see good, and people want to see good baseball. Right? It's getting hot. No one wants to go out there and watch your team lose either. So you put a better product out there, I'm sure the attendance will go up.
Candy?
So it's the lowest attendance they've had since 1993, except for obviously the COVID years. But you know, it's indicative of the players they have on the field, the product they have on the field. It's also and I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get some rebuttal against this. Part of it is they do not have, and I know Miller Park, American Family Fields, has a roof over it, which means you're guaranteed a game. So some of these, in these towns, hey, I want to go to a game. Should we go to a game? Should I organize a group to go to a game? Am I guaranteed the game? Am I guaranteed? Is it going to rain? Is it going to be cold in the beginning months? That's the other thing is too, is a lot of weather goes through St. Louis, a lot of stormy tornado weather type. Do you want to be out in those elements, or do you, a lot of people, and I hate to say this, but a lot of people like to sit at home and watch from the comforts of their home. Some people enjoy listening to it on the radio too. And or would they rather, can they afford to go, not only gas prices, can they afford the tickets to go to the game? And for a family of four, how much does it cost to park? How much does it cost for the tickets? How much does it cost to feed the family at the park? I should have looked that up before I start talking about it, but that makes a difference too. So maybe some of the people can't afford it too, and around the stadium as well.
Well, you mentioned that. Why don't you mention Michael Edwards has your back on this one, Candy? Go ahead. His last comment was indicative of what you just said. Go ahead, put it up and read it while you're at it.
Which ones?
Well, you got a couple. The guy's good. Not that
Alex
one.
Burleson, an underappreciated player for St. Louis. Interesting.
He's right about that. Michael Burleson.
Points. Teams like Cardinals, Cubs, and Royals in Midwest draw fans from several outlying areas, and gas has to go into effect their attendance, no question. Maybe not the Cubs.
That's true.
I have sat at Busch Stadium when it was 90% humidity, miserable. LOL. St. Louis summer heat is nothing to laugh at. It is brutal. Great point, Candy.
That's all he just helped. Okay, Eric, give you the final word on it.
Okay, I went to school. I went to school not near St. Louis, and the humidity is not a joke there. I'd say St. Louis itself is a lot like Florida, except they don't have oceans to run to, so we have to just deal with the humidity. But the thing about it too is the Cardinals the past few years have not been a good team. They've been kind of telling their fans like just telling them they'll do one thing and then they'll do the other. Like, oh, this is supposed to be the year where the young guys are. Instead, you're keeping veterans there on a team that's not going to be playoff bound. Like Ryan Helsley, they probably should have traded a lot earlier than they did. It's pretty much a ball club that's kind of I'm not sure if alienated their fan base is correct, but they haven't been good. And with their ownership not wanting to spend with a lot of other teams, their fans are making it known they'd rather spend their hard-earned dollars elsewhere. And besides, it's just that's just the way losing. That's what happens when you have a losing team, is people don't want to pay money to watch it. And now the Cardinals have been kind of a little bit of a surprise from the get-go. I don't think it's going to hold, though, because I don't believe their pitching is good enough. But they got some guys to build around there. I mean, Alec Burleson, Alec Burleson is very underappreciated, I think. JJ Weatherholt is looking like a Rookie of the Year candidate. Jordan Walker is finally becoming what they expect him to be because he had a couple down years there, and he kind of had a tumultuous year last year. And Nathan Church is coming around there. So, there's plenty of reason to go to the ballpark now with some young guys, coming up and making the future look exciting. But yeah, I think part of it is their team just has not been very good. Their ownership and their general manager, John Mosaic at the time, would say one thing, do the other. So, you're sending the fans kind of mixed signals there. So, fans are just also making their displeasure known. But I've been to Busch. It's a great stadium, and with the new ballpark village there, it's a destination to go and see. I had a great time when I went to Busch.
I have to get there one day. St. Louis. Once I get done with once I get done with my international stuff, who knows when that'll be. Busch Stadium is a high priority for sure, and as well as the Gateway of the Arts. A realization is that St. Louis is a great sports town. I really would love to see them get the NFL back. I really would. I think they lost it for the wrong reasons twice, for sure. But I don't think there's any question the Cardinals have a truly great fan base. You give them a product out there worthwhile, and they'll pack things up pretty good. We'll go back to another baseball history, talk about some current baseball topics. But on August 22nd, 2021, Miguel Cabrera became the 28th player in MLB history to hit 500 home runs. Barry, I don't know how many more guys are going to do it, but Miguel Cabrera was one of the latest to do it. Let's talk about Miguel Cabrera first, and then any potentials down the road.
Well, Cabrera, top 10 all-time right-handed hitter. So, unfortunately, he tailed off a lot latter part of his career, but when he was in his prime, he was unbelievable right-handed hitter, one of the best all-time right-handed hitters.
Okay. Tony?
Yeah, shout out to Miggy. Got a ring early, got paid late. That the way you want to have your career. Get that ring early so you can approach free agency. Where's the money? Back up the Brinks truck. And he earned every penny, like you said, one of the top 10 right-handed hitters of all time. My biggest memory of Miguel Cabrera, I forgot who the pitcher was, but they wouldn't give him anything to swing at. And he was like, just throw something. And it still wasn't a strike. And he smacked the single just to show, hey, man, just give me an opportunity and I'll show you guys I can hit. He definitely, towards the end, you can see he was hanging on to get to that magic number 500. But Scott, people coming up to get to 500, Stanton, maybe in the next couple of years, if he can hang on health-wise. We see what Aaron Judge is doing. He's probably somebody who can get there. You start realizing how special 500 is, though, when you start looking at some of the players that's been around for a while that might not get there. You look at somebody like Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber, somebody who's looked at as hitting a lot of home runs, and they might not get the 500. And that lets you know how special of a number that is, though.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, that 500 number, that's why I brought it up. I actually, it's pretty interesting about some of the stuff we came up with as I go through the show. Well, the segment next week called Ask Warren, and we're going to fill him in a little bit on some of the stuff that we've done, and this will be one of those. We're going to have a segment, how you like that, because the one thing about our man Broussard, he can give you some pretty good insights on some. So we'll have a segment there. We got Barry's viewpoint coming up toward the end of the show.
He's really smart for a pitcher.
Is he? Yeah. Well, yeah.
What about?
Don't worry. Everybody's going to get a shot at Sandy Alcantara next week. That'll be one we're holding out for. Okay. Go ahead, Candy.
In 2012, Cabrera became the first player since Carl Yastrzemski in 1967 to win the batting Triple Crown, leading the American League with 330 batting average, 44 home runs, and 139 runs batted in, earning him the AL MVP award that year. In the first half of 2013, he was on pace to shatter it, but he had some injuries that plagued him the latter half of the season. Overall, Cabrera still improved on his batting average. He had a career batting average of 348. Cabrera won 4 American League batting titles, including 3 in consecutive years, and batted over 300 in 11 different seasons. He hit 30 or more home runs in 10 separate seasons and drove in 100 runs in 12 separate seasons. Cabrera is the all-time leader in career home runs and hits by a Venezuela player, surpassing Andres Galarraga and Omar Vizquez, respectively. He joined the 500 Club in 2021 and the 3,000 Hit Club in 2022. He was the 7th player in Major League Baseball to hit both milestones. He's obviously, if we didn't know this, but last year he was, earlier this year, he was the hitting coach for Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I
And
do remember.
Venezuela went on to win its first Baseball Classic championship. So,
Believe it or not, I actually saw Barry. You probably might remember this. Andres Galarraga played when he was with the Expos organization. I think he played for West Palm Beach. Did he play against us? Andres Galarraga.
I don't think he was there then when that year.
That year, but
That
it
was
may have been the year before.
84. It was 84.
Well,
I
I
think.
covered the Fort Lauderdale Yankees from 82 to 84. It might have been one of those 2 years prior. But I think I saw Andres Galarraga because I remember, we both remember West Palm Beach Municipal Stadium, right? It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
pretty cool place. That was really
Yeah.
I think after I saw him play.
Yeah, I had spring training there a couple of years with the Expos.
Oh, did
so,
ya?
yeah.
Yeah, you should see what they've done to it now. I mean, they've made a new ballpark, Palm Beach. This is really nice, but I still have fond memories of West Palm Beach Municipal Stadium. So, okay. But Andres Galarraga is a name I'm familiar with. Glad you brought it up, Candy. Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I mean, Miguel Cabrera. I mean, that's my childhood right there. I mean, one of the best players from my childhood. I mean, especially with the Tigers, bases were loaded and Miguel Cabrera's up. You knew you were doomed because the guy could. The guy's one of those players that could just do anything he wanted with the ball. Hit a home run, hit it over here, hit it over there. He could do it. At one point too, he was pretty fleet-footed when he was a lot younger. But he's still very much loved in Detroit. He is just, he's 3,000 plus hits, 500 plus home runs. It's getting harder and harder to reach that number, considering how hard these guys are throwing these days. Unless you're a Judge or unless you're an Aaron Judge type player, or even Shohei Ohtani. So, I mean, at one point we were wondering if, given how banged up Ken Griffey Jr. was with the Reds, we were wondering if he'd even reach that number too. Eventually, he did with where he got to 500 and then later 600. But still, it's getting harder and harder to do, especially because these guys don't play every day really anymore. You'll see them getting days off here and there. Not quite as bad as load management in the NBA, but they're not playing. They're not trying to set records like Cal Ripken Jr. But Miguel Cabrera, he was just one of a kind, and I'm not sure if we'll see that kind of player anymore.
I'm not so sure you will either. Well, today's May 11th, so a lot of things have happened today. I'm going to summarize a bunch of them and really can comment individual on them. May 11th, 2004, Manny Ramirez becomes a U.S. citizen, Barry. How about that?
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, well, he became a citizen. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. Yeah.
What about you, Hollywood Tony?
That was in Boston, right? That was pre-Mannywood. So he didn't get his own territory in the United States just yet. He had to become a citizen first. Then we gave him his territory on the West Coast. It was all part of the process. It makes sense.
Oh, I got some good ones here after this one. Go ahead, Candy. You don't have to research everything on the planet. But these are definitely not necessarily research these. Go ahead.
I know it's always good to see someone become a U.S. citizen. That's great. Good for him.
Okay. Good for you on this one. Okay. Just kidding with you, Can. Okay. Go ahead, Eric.
Good for Ben-Ram. I mean, America needs more. Ben-Ram, what during his career was interesting, and especially some of the things he did, and some of the things, and some of the things that he said and did. But good for Ben-Ram. Hopefully, baseball lets him back in because the guy could hit. Say what you will about the Royals, but the guy could hit, and he was particularly with Cleveland and Boston, even with LA, he could hit wherever he went. And I hope that baseball will allow him to have a job in the sport. I mean, they did it for Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire. I don't see why we're holding. It's not like Manny Ramirez went out and wrote a book outing everybody about who did steroids like Jose Canseco did. But you got to let him back in. I mean, baseball could use the personality.
They can't. And real quick, Eric, if what he's showing his son, he can show other hitters, he's clearly a good hitting coach. Because you got 18-year-olds hitting home runs in the World Baseball Classic. You can show somebody a thing or two about hitting.
That I'm telling you, during my childhood, with everywhere he went, that guy could bang. That guy could hit. He could hit at will.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know I'm a segment late, but I just want to put up this picture. There's Miguel Cabrera with you in the background.
Hey.
Put that up.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, over at Marlins Park. That was pretty cool. I got a chance to talk.
You're not wearing a hat, Scott.
Well, now you're making me think about me wearing one. I mean, don't kid yourself, because over when we went away, or as they call it, a holiday, I got a lot of hoodies here, and I'll tell you one thing: the baggage claim was pretty interesting when they asked me what I was bringing over. So some more May 11th dates.
Were they at least nice with in the baggage claim? Were they at least nice about it?
Actually, they were really good. Yeah. I both London Heathrow Airport is becoming a great airport overseas. I really enjoy that place. I don't know if you've ever been there, and I had no problem especially on the way back. All the people that we dealt with were great. Other May 11th, 2003, Rafael Palmeiro hit his 500th home run. 1996, Al Leiter hit the Marlins 11-0 versus Colorado. That was the first no-hitter in Marlins history. So, Barry, what are your thoughts about each of those two?
Well, Palmeiro, in my opinion, should be a Hall of Famer. I know he was probably into the sauce like a lot of guys, and a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame that didn't get called out for it are in the Hall of Fame with it. And if we got time, real quick story. Al Leiter went with our AA club when they first drafted him. They didn't have those long spring training teams that they do now in spring training, where they let them play while they're waiting for their short seasons to start. And he was sent to AA with us, and Dave LaRoche was my pitching coach. And we'd only been off the field a couple of years. You were with us the year before in A-ball. So LaRoche takes him out, and with the guys, and this kid's 19 years old, let him have a few cocktails. And he said, "You won't believe this. I took Leiter out with us last night. He had a little bit too much to drink, and he threw up in my back seat." And I said, "Well, that's good for you for taking him out and getting him drunk as a 19-year-old. So that's my Al Leiter story.
Well, okay. It's a good story. We love hearing your stories. Come on, you played the game. You're going to have a lot of them. Okay. Anybody else want to add? Am I talking to everybody about this one?
No, you haven't.
I guess that means you.
Yeah, I mean, Rafael
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rafael Palmeiro. I think he had a very rough end to his career with and which obviously a guy who's been who was a great player for a long time got caught lying, which was unfortunate. But he's another one of them guys who could just hit. I mean, that's how good he was. And then obviously Al Leiter, his son, I believe his son Jack is pitching now for the Texas Rangers, who came out of Vanderbilt, which is a great college baseball school, which they are in the College World Series just about every year. But Al Leiter had a solid career for himself with mainly with the New York Mets.
Yeah, that's pretty surreal. The problem with Rafael Palmeiro is you don't go in front of Congress and act the way he did. I did not do steroids, and I'm adamant about it. All of a sudden, boom, you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, and that all of a sudden kills your reputation. You just don't do that.
No, we would want any lying in Congress.
Exactly. Sure. That's for sure.
Oh, no.
No, I mean, hey, the reality, I'm not going to turn this into a political show for crying out loud, but you just don't do that. And
Congress.
Well, yeah, you don't go in front of Congress.
You're only allowed to lie in Congress if you were voted in. If
exactly.
You're voted in, you can lie all the time.
There you go. All right, I'll go with that. I like it. I had to light it up. You just do not do what he did and be adamant about it. I mean, I'm not at 500. Everybody thought the 500 home runs was the ticket to the Hall of Fame. We all know that.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is you just don't do that. After an outlier, well, the Marlins get no hitters. I mean, Katie and I, a long time ago, experienced our first one when Henderson Alvarez pulled the trick against the Detroit Tigers. So they get no hitters. They just need winning seasons. They've only had 4 in their history. So, but they had to beat the Colorado Rockies 11-0. Their first in that history. So, all right, let's talk about something that's pretty interesting about the Detroit Tigers. Speaking of, because this is really something that is important. And I'm going to go exactly to my phone. What we're going to do that. We'll talk about Cal Raleigh. Then Barry's going to get his viewpoint. Then we'll wrap it up. How's that, Barry? Just 2 or 3 more. We're going to try to keep it as close to the time limit as we can. But this is important. The Tigers, unfortunately, are dealing with some very difficult times right now. A lot because we're talking about their unluckiest offense, and I'm going to it right now. Their 4th unluckiest offense. I'm going to it. Where is it? Okay, here it is. 4th unluckiest offense, and I'm going to go to our screenshots on this one. Okay, the key players that they actually have on the injured list. Get this: they have 12 players on the injured list. They consist of Terrence Skubal, Casey Mize, Troy Melton, Jackson Joe, Justin Verlander, Gleyber Torres, Parker Meadows, Connor Siebold, Javier Lopez, Bo Brisky, Will Vest, and now Reese Olson. Barry, that's a lot of players.
Like they need a new trainer. I don't know. That's a lot of players. That's certainly a lot of players.
Bring Kevin Rand back.
There you go.
Hey, don't
Bring
kid yourself.
Kevin back.
One of these days, I'm going to talk to Kevin when I get time and see if I can get him to come on this show.
Yeah,
Kevin
that'd
and
be
I
great.
were close. Yeah, you and I worked, I think, with Kevin too, didn't we, there?
I had him for 3 years in the minor leagues. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get out there. Now that I'm back from my Europe, I got a lot of people I have to work over, but that's a lot of players. Okay, what are your thoughts, Tony? Then I'm going to go over some of the key numbers here that make this even more crazier than it already is. Tony?
Jokingly, I said about the Braves that their offseason pickup should have been a trainer because I felt like their only issue was health. Now I feel like the trade deadline pickup for the Detroit Tigers should be a trainer. This is crazy. But the only silver lining in this, if there is still super early, and the rest of the American League Central is terrible. So it's not like no one's running away with it. So if they can get these guys back and they can get healthy towards the back end of the season, all can be well and all can be forgiven. But as of right now, geesh Louise, there's no space in the training room right now. You got to take a number.
I mean, AJ Hinch has his hands there. He really does. Don't worry, I got some unbelievable staggering numbers. Go ahead, Candy.
As of May 11th, 2026, over 550 players are listed on injury reports across all 30 MLB teams, making the 2026 season one of the most injury impacted in recent memory. Teams are managing high volumes of players on the 10-day and 60-day injured list, with significant injuries impacting both pitching and position players. Obviously, there's some key injuries, especially in what you listed, Scott. I mean, I guess the silver lining is that Skubal's injury wasn't as bad as they originally thought. They think he's going to be back sooner than they thought. So let's hope. But this begs the question: is what are we doing wrong? What are the trainers not doing right? Or has the game gotten too specialized that you start out too young that you see key injuries like this early on? I mean, I can tell you in one of the games against the Yankees with the Brewers this weekend, one of the outfield, I believe it was the outfielder, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, went for a foul ball and didn't he hit one of the paddings on one of the spots, and it actually is right at a corner, and he actually hit the corner, and his knee was lacerated.
Yeah, fortunately, it wasn't his ACL. He was very lucky there. But yeah, that was Brandon Lockridge who slid right into it. It was yeah, you have to have a strong stomach to watch it. But it's one of those deals that was just unfortunate. And like at this time of year, like when the season goes on, these trainers are battling against injuries. It's a never-ending war throughout the season, getting these guys healthy enough to play. Now, remember, these are the people who are just out for X period of time. There's such a thing called unannounced injuries where guys might have something that's bothering them that they're going to play on anyway, even though they really shouldn't. So so these trainers they're battling this thing all year long. It can get real. It's really interesting to see like what these guys go through, and as far as injuries go, I mean these guys play every day, so stuff's going to happen, and these it really depends on how good the teams are at managing it. The Yankees this year, I think, have done an all right job managing it. The Brewers, I mean, sure, they got hit with it early, but guys are starting to come back now. Like I know Andrew Vaughn and Jackson Churro are back, which is huge for that lineup. And so it really depends on how well you manage it. Obviously, the Tigers are having a rough go of it, and sometimes when it rains, it pours, and that's what Detroit's going through right now. But they're in the AL Central, though, so no one's exactly running away with that division as we speak right now. And to me, it's anybody's guess who wins it. So if Detroit could just hang in there right now, I still think they got a shot at it because Memorial Day is your litmus test, is your first check-in where
Right.
if your team's in first place, they've got a chance.
All right, so let me go over some of these numbers now that we've really talked about it in great detail. Weighted on base average, actual is 320, and their expected is 338. I mean, Javier Baez is really important too because there's a guy who made it to the All-Star game. But I'll repeat these numbers, and I'm going to go in rapid fire so that you get the numbers out, and you can draw your own conclusion based on all of them. But again, weighted on base percentage, 320 is the actual, 338 is the expected. Slugging percentage, 388 is actual, 435 is expected. Batting average, 241, 254 was expected. And there you go. So those are some of the key important things. And again, we talk about fourth luckiest, unluckiest offense of them all. You have 12 guys going on there. And those are the key numbers when you start evaluating offensive production is what you're really looking at that certainly make things a little bit more difficult. So, okay, really quickly, now that I shot out those numbers, does anything change what a lot of people are saying? Barry, we'll lead it up.
I don't think they're a very good ball club.
You don't? Okay.
I think they overperformed last year. I don't like them as, right now. I just don't, without Scooble, they're going to be mediocre. But that's just my opinion.
That's okay. No, and that's very fair. Okay. Tony?
Hey, you got to be careful with those expected numbers. You have to play the game. The game is played on the field, right? You can have expectations of certain things, but hey, man, it's different in between those lines, and it shows.
Okay. Candy?
And some of it has to do with matchups. What matchups are you, what pitcher are you going against what night? And is that pitcher hot that night? Because there are some pitchers that some teams, they just have their number and they can pitch lights out and they go longer. And then there are other times when, the other team has the number. And so I think a lot of it has to do with lineups and matchups and, are you righty lefty? Sometimes those, pitching matchups matter too.
Eric?
I mean, it's with what's going on with the Tigers. I mean, they got the best case scenario with Tarek Skubal because he's only going to be out a month, which is better than what the Dodgers are dealing with right now with Edwin Diaz. So they at least will get him back at some point, and hopefully they can kind of hold down the fort meanwhile. But Detroit's a mess right now, especially with Framber Valdez doing something stupid, which I'm starting to believe he's prone for those types of things, like throwing at Trevor Story intentionally just because he homered off you, which I've always thought was wrong. But it's a tough again, they're in the Central, so all they have to do is just hold on at this point because Cleveland's not exactly running away with it, and there's no other team that I can think of that would be a there was no other team that would be, I think could take the division. So they're in a position right now where if they win 88 games or so, maybe even less, they'd be able to win that division. I think.
Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah, I don't think that for Kramer Valdez, that was a really wide decision to throw Trevor Story. He gets 5-6 games, and then Hinch gets one. So I agree. Good point. Last topic of the night, then we go to Barry's viewpoint. Cal Raleigh, obviously, really in Seattle. He's on for 32 in his last 8 games. A big slump there. He's batting 161. He had 60 home runs last year. Are they starting to figure him out in Seattle, Barry?
Oh, I think it's in his head. Even as bad as he is so far, hitting 160, 7 home runs, 18 RBIs. That even with that pace, he's on a 25, 30 home run pace, and it's 70, 75 RBIs. And I looked at his numbers defensively. He's still catching well, throwing people out. As long as that doesn't suffer, I think he'll battle through and get his hitting back together. He may not have you're not going to probably ever repeat those 60 home run numbers, but he should hit 25, 30 home runs, drive in 75, 80 runs, and be a good defensive player.
60 home runs for a catcher is unheard of.
Yeah.
Those numbers aren't just unheard of, Barry. They're out of our mind.
Right.
Those numbers. Yeah. That may be a record that nobody's going to touch 60 home runs to catch.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, still a good defensive catcher. He's going to get back to what they call the back of the ball card. He's going to get back to his averages. He'll be okay. Maybe he's like Jazz Chisholm. He just needs it to warm up a little bit more. He'll be okay.
Katie.
Yeah, he had 15 strikeouts in his 0 for 32. He's just, you battle so many times, and I think hitters go through slumps, and it's just one of those things, and all of a sudden he's gonna snap right out of it and he'll be back to being better. But I think every batter goes through that during the season, and I think he'll be fine. He just needs a little more confidence. That's all.
Eric?
I think he'll be fine. These guys always find a way. For everybody who's had success before in this league, they always somehow find a way. I mean, I think Cal Raleigh's is pressing too hard to repeat what was last year. And there's a reason there's a reason prior to Aaron Judge, and Bart McGuire, that it didn't happen for a while. There's a reason for that. I think he'll get on it. I mean, already has 7 home runs right now, which for this time of year isn't bad. And some guys are just notorious for starting slow. Sammy Sosa always started slow. Even the year he was battling McGuire for the home run record in '98. He was a slow starter. He'll even tell you that, especially because of how cold it gets at Wrigley Field in April and parts of May. And with the wind blowing there, it feels like it's cold. So it's I'm not worried about Raleigh. He's still doing. It's clearly not bleeding over to his performance in defense as catching behind the plate. And I think when he eventually just snaps out of it and realizes that he doesn't have to blast 60 plus home runs again, I think he'll eventually, when it's all said and done, he'll probably have a 30, 35 home run year, which is still a good year.
Right. Well, the reality is this. I mean, it's the second year now. Pitchers have seen him not once but twice. So there's a book on this guy. So they're going to look at what has been done. It's not like he's coming in first year. You haven't seen anything what he's going to do. Doesn't mean he won't make his numbers, because he will. He's that good of a player. But let's face reality. When you've seen a guy enough times, then you know what he can do and what he can't do, right, Barry? I assume that when there's familiarity with him, that's got to factor in a little bit. But in the end, he's a good defensive catcher. He's an all-star, and I think you'll have a pretty good year results. But familiarity, Barry, I would think, has to factor into this a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, I think it's some. I think, we don't really know if he's not battling some kind of injury. Catching, you got these nicks and things. You just don't know. And 90% of this is probably in his head. He's
Okay.
just got to get through it. That's what slumps usually are. You break out of them for unknown reasons, and you go into them for unknown reasons. But he'll be back. I like his chances.
Yeah. Well, I mean, slumps. Well, you're talking about mentally. Everybody knows what a mental game baseball is. No question about that. Well, with that said, we'll transition over. He's
Yeah.
very good.
Wait.
What?
This I just wanted to add, Raleigh entered Sunday batting just 100 against four-seam fastballs, and pitchers have clearly noticed because in April they threw 34.7% four-seamers to him. In May that jumped to 49.1% four-seamers. So I think part of it is he could be. The other thing is remember, how much did he catch last year? How much could be fatigue? He also played in the World Baseball Classic. You know, a lot of things can go into it. But yes, I think some of the pitchers have noticed some of these things too, though. That's why they have analytics on the game these days.
It's plus
Well,
it's not plus eventually when you see him after at all these guys, not just Raleigh, all these guys who are off the hot streaks so right now, whether they're young players, older players, whatever, these guys eventually get figured out. They'll now with video and analytics and all that, they figure you out even quicker now. So some of these guys are going to cool off. There's nobody who truly stays hot all year because eventually these players are going to get figured out by pitchers, and they got all the information at their disposal now to figure them out even faster than possibly when Barry played.
Great points. Okay, with that said, we will transition over to Barry. Barry gets his viewpoint. Take it away, Barry.
Well, I was thinking about this today. I think so far in the baseball season, the most significant event so far has been the sale of the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
And because they sold for $3.9 billion, which almost doubled the existing record, and the fact that even though they sold for $3.9 billion, their local TV revenue was down from 60 million a year down to 30 million a year. The Dodgers is 300 million a year in local TV revenue. The Angels were at 125 million, and they're down, and that's probably the reason they weren't able to sell for the number that they wanted. So I think if they get this number up, the owners are going to be much easier to deal with in the CBA coming up, because one of their big complaints is going to be the valuations of our teams aren't meeting what other leagues are. We need to do something. That 3.9 billion number may have taken some of that leverage away from them. So I think that was a significant event in baseball so far.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it in. Great job, Barry, as always. You can find Barry Foote every Monday night on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. That does it for this show. With that said, we're trying to work within the hour and 15-minute time frame. We're right on schedule to do that. And as we wrap up in about 2 minutes. With that said, go ahead, let everybody know they get a hold of you. He's our rising star in the Sports Exchange on Wednesday, and him and Tony are going to be doing their first show together within a couple of weeks. So these two, I know, are getting ready for it. So as much as he likes to get on my nerves, I'll be on his nerves, make sure every Saturday show goes right. You understand, Eric? Yes, I understand. Grandpa, whatever he calls me.
It's an equal opportunity annoyance.
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. All right, let everybody know they get a hold of you.
You can follow me on my X account at Sports Team News and check out my writing at southfloridatribune.com, and also my Substack where I write about all things baseball. If you think I don't like your team, I probably don't.
That is good. You and Jeremy Ballard come up with some of those interesting lines of yours. I was pretty good. Go ahead, Tony. That was good.
All right. So, yeah, you guys catch me here Monday, Wednesdays, coming up on Saturdays. You can follow me on all social, Talking Game 1 on YouTube. We do our Talking Game episodes every Wednesday at 3:30 afternoon. That's Tony Talking Game on YouTube. And then on Sundays, we do our wrestling, 2 Raw for SmackDown, my boy Rainey. So, yeah, it's busy, man. So make sure you guys follow me. There's a lot going on.
I'll special shout out to Claudia, our tour guide in France, who I was pictured with her by the bus. What a nice young lady. You talk about one of the biggest bold moves out on the planet. This young lady here, when we were in France, we were dealing with some interesting weather out there. and she makes a bold move. And I think it was only supposed to go to 1:30, Candy. The thing over the Eiffel Tower goes to about 2:30, and we were able to get in, and I was able to get a video at the top of the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was unbelievable, and Claudia did an outstanding job. And we did an interview with her, which will appear on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. What a dynamic young tour guide that we have. So we had to flip that in there. All right, Barry, why don't you let everybody know to get a hold of you, my friend?
I'll be right here Monday nights, espousing good and bad opinions.
There you go. Your opinions are awesome. I love having you on. Now, again, I've known this guy forever, so he's seen me grow up in the business, that's for sure. And every time I need some timely advice, like I do, he knows that. And I'll tell you, Barry and I talked about it before we went on camera, that I have to admit, I'm getting closer. I don't mind scaling back and doing a lot more of what we did over the last couple of weeks of traveling and doing things. Done a lot in the business. I have another book I'm going to work on later on this year. But I'm with you, Barry. It's time to just pick and choose what you want to do, knowing that you've done for a long period of time. And amen, Barry. So, all right, Katie, take us the rest of the way.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media and how it has evolved. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audio version is also out. Get that if that's more to your liking. You can also find a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where Scott writes, Eric writes. Go check out their articles. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, sponsor a show, or you want to be a guest on a show, or you have topic ideas, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. Honestly, I don't know what you're waiting for. Great content. Go check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. You do not want to miss. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights is football night. Wednesday nights, you never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks in both of his shows. Thursday night, sports wrap, you never know. And you never know on Fire Up when you come over to my show, The Country Club, as Scott calls it. But also, we are going to be putting up all kinds of videos from our travels. Last year on our cruise, we put those up. This year, we're going to be putting up more. In fact, you can already go there. There's already ones up. Scott and I, on our first night in Spain, actually got to go to a football game, a soccer game in Portugal. So go check it out. We talked with a fan. There's some video up from there. Had an awesome time. Go check out our YouTube and check out some of the videos. And we're going to have more videos coming down the pike. Back to you, Scott.
Yeah, and I'll close it out on this note. Thanks to Mike Santos, who you see on Thursday night for hockey and soccer. He's unbelievable. And he told us to check it out. Mike Santos is a real good friend of mine. We talk about football, soccer. And he says, you got to get out there and see a football game. And we all know it is soccer in Portugal. It worked out well. Got a good video actually interviewing a fan over there. It was just the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. It's the first sporting event that I've actually seen in Europe ever. And I'll tell you, this game definitely lived up to expectations as well. So a lot of great content coming down from the travel side. As promised, want to get this thing done in a timely manner. So on behalf of Barry Foote, Bigfoot, Hollywood Tony, we'll see him on Wednesday night. And Candy Ebling and Eric also Wednesday night. Scott Morgan, Motor City Man, well, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to having hopefully Warren Brewster on next week. Otherwise, we'll file up more great topics in line to keep everything rolling. So get ready for a heavy dose of baseball. God bless everybody. And Barry, Hollywood, Tony, Candy, Eric, I'm proud of everyone. You know where you guys, how I feel about each and every one of you. Everybody in the chat room that contributed, Eddie Prather, Cliff Neal, God bless you as well. All right, that takes care of it for the night. We'll see you next Monday night on 108 Baseball Talk. Salute.